Well, here we are, yet another month gone by. For those of us that are ready, good for us. For those who aren't, this is just another opportunity to take a big step in preparation for your exchange. Some time ago, I read an article on the internet titled, I think, Why Take a Non-Taxable Event and Turn it into a Taxable One? The author made it a point to say that although wealthy people use trust and other assets to protect their entities, they did it after they became wealthy, not before. He went on to suggest that none of us need these entities yet. Since he wrote that article, which was well over a year ago, we learned that the banks and redemption centers insist upon a trust if we expect to receive more than $1 million when exchanging our currency or ZIM. That brings us back to being prepared. Any good plan requires a good foundation. We believe that our common law contract trust gives you the best possible foundation for the exciting new aspects in your future. Helping me out again today are my good friend Judy and my partner Jim Knox.
Okay, hold on.
Judy, are you good? Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, let me read this real quick, because you started the recording after you said this. We are not accountants, tax professionals, lawyers, or currency dealers. We are not engaged in rendering legal, tax, accounting, or other professional advice. If you require those services, you should retain competent advice from a professional in that field. I want that on the recording. That's all I need to
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're right. I waited till after that. So, Judy, are you ready to get started?
I am, Carol and Jim. Carol, what is it about your trust that allows you to say it provides the best possible foundation for the exciting new aspects in our future?
Well, no doubt you've all heard about all different kinds of trusts. Most other trusts are statutory in nature, meaning that they get their power and strength from locally, usually state-enacted laws. They are often recorded in that state or county and thus no privacy. They are sometimes required to pay a state recording fee every year. This is also true of most corporations and LLCs. As far as so-called skeleton or temporary trusts, they are revocable, statutory, and unfortunately the bank becomes your partner. The contract trust that we employ is a creature of common law. It gets its power and benefit from the U.S. Constitution. Most states require recordation only if the trust is actively involved in commerce. This guarantees your privacy and you don't have annual recording fees.
So, Carol, what are the advantages of the contract trust?
At the creation of the contract trust, you irrevocably exchange your assets, in this case your currency, into the contract trust. You no longer own them, but as trustee you have complete autonomy in managing them. You don't own the assets, so no one can take them from you. The contract trust owns and controls its assets through its trustees, who keep controlling minutes of their actions. As trustee, you are in total control of the trust and its assets. There is absolutely no one between you and your money. A person can transfer all of his or her property, real or personal, to a contract trust. Such property is thereby protected from personal liabilities, probate, and death taxes. Use of the contract trust gives you an empty pockets persona. You no longer own the assets. No one can take them from you. You can be sued, but you don't have any assets in your name. You're not responsible for the liabilities of the trust, nor is the trust responsible for your liabilities. You own nothing but control everything. And the contract trusts, again, that we prepare are irrevocable.
Okay. So, Carol, how does that differ from statutory grantor living trust?
The biggest trust, I'm having a hard time this morning, folks, please forgive me. The biggest difference between a common law contract trust and grantor living trust is that grantor trusts are governed by statute. That means our legislators have passed laws that govern the operation and taxation of grantor trusts. It also means the courts have unlimited jurisdiction over grantor living trusts and whether or not they can be attached for payment of judgments or liens. Remember, with a living trust, the assets are still considered to be the individuals. Even if held by the trust, these assets can be attached. It also means that they may be considered as the individuals at death, exposing them to probate and inheritance taxes. It is more difficult if the grantor living trust is irrevocable, but those assets can still be attached or seized to pay judgments. And historically, the courts have become more liberal with respect to judgment awards and have continued to erode our rights to own property. The biggest difference is that most revocable grantor trusts offer little to no asset protection.
Okay, that's a lot of good information. So if grantor trusts are created and governed by statute, where do common law contract trusts get their authority?
As I mentioned earlier, the common law contract trust gets its power authority from Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution, which says that no state can impair the obligation of a contract. Case law on common law trust goes back hundreds of years. The first major decision was in England, was Smith v. Anderson, Chancery Division 247 in 1880. That decision upheld the validity of common law trust. This decision stands today and has not been modified by the courts. This means that so long as the Constitution guarantees our right to contract, the common law contract trust will remain valid. Something to think about when we're all talking about going back to common law. The trust that we use was validated by the U.S. Supreme Court in a landmark 1983 decision as a valid legal entity. We have successfully protected the assets of thousands of Americans long before anybody ever heard of ours, and we are able to open bank accounts in the name and EIN of the trust.
Okay. So, Carol, how is the contract trust created? Carol, let me ask you, do you think we ought to see if people can hear us okay?
Well, I don't see. I've got a couple hands up, but they were up to begin with. But let me just check with them. Well, let's just take a little break before we go to this question and find out. We've got two questions here. Area code 404? 404? 404-209.
Yes, this is Jane Stinson.
Hi.
Hi. This is a question that I asked on the last conference call, and I'm asking again because I really didn't have clarity. One of the people that are my successors passed, and you said to me all I need to do is do minutes. Now, how official am I doing the minutes? Because this was put together by you all. I have not done anything with this except paid for the instrument. So what's the process? I understand you telling me what I can do, but how to do it?
Well, if you go to our website, it has all kinds of sample minutes on there. One of them has appointing a successor trustee.
Okay.
You need to write a minute that essentially says, at a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, blah, blah, blah. The trustees noted, it was noted by the trustees that successor trustee John Doe passed away.
Okay.
The trustee is now appointing a new successor trustee, Jane Smith, to be successor trustee. That's basically all it is. Jim, we do have a minute.
Again?
I'm just asking my partner, Jim, if we do have that kind of a minute on the website. Jim?
You don't know how to take a leak.
Jim? Well, apparently Jim stepped away, but if we don't already have a minute like that, I'll make sure that we have one. So it's very simple. Writing a minute, okay? And let me mention this also. You might want to contact me or contact Jim, and we will change your abstract of trust for you, naming the new successor trustee.
Okay. All right. I would prefer to do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, Jim, now that you're there.
I'm here.
You're here. Did you hear my question? Do we have that kind of a minute on the website?
Yes, I heard the question. My reply was, before I realized nobody could hear me, was I don't know, but I'll make sure I put one on there, or we can just do one and send it to her.
Okay, and I think that's what was going to end up happening. But we should have one on there anyway. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so have her send me a request, because I got a lot of stuff going on. So just have her send it to security@indicatorinformation.com and just mention she needs a minute for a new successor. I'll do it and get it out to her right away.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know why you went away. You should be there. There's your number. Okay. All right. Let's ask a few more questions here. Good morning, Sandy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. One of my questions is we have several trusts in my family that y'all have done, and they keep wanting to put people on as beneficiaries rather than I said, well, do you want them to have money and pay taxes on it? Or do you want them to, get a loan from the trust? Am I wrong on that?
Well, no, you're not wrong at all. Actually, this trust doesn't even have beneficiaries, and it's something that we're going to talk about in a little bit about the trust. We don't have beneficiaries. If you have people that you want to help, it all depends. If it's under $15,000 a year, then you can just give them a gift, make them a gift. If it's more than that, you should make it a loan with a promissory note and the whole 9 yards.
Okay, all right. That's what I kept telling. But anyway, and then I have one other question because I'm a trustee on several of the trusts that y'all have formed for other members of the family for various reasons. Mm-hmm. And so do you think that when I call to make, I know you probably say I have no idea, but do you think that one time calling the 800 number, I can take all the trust and all the money in there and complete my whole session?
I don't know. I mean, all this currency is already in multiple trusts.
Right.
Jim, what's your take on this? I'm going to make sure you are on the line this time. Jim, what's your take on that?
Well, give me the question one more time because it's really hard to hear right now. Well, what was that? You got all these trusts. Go ahead.
Yes, I am a trustee on three trusts that y'all have formed. I'm a trustee on 3 of them. And when I make a telephone call to the 800 number and set up an appointment, you think I'd be able to take all 3 trusts in there with the money which has been already put into each individual trust and be able to complete those 3 trusts and cash them out?
Yes, absolutely. They won't have a problem with that because they're there for your money. Think about it. They're making money on this. They're going to want you to process as much as you need to process. There'll be no question. They'll take your money.
Okay. But now the other, excuse me. Go ahead, Carol.
But won't she have to exchange into one and set up maybe a pass-through account for the other ones? I don't think that they're going to give us time to set up more than one trust.
Well, they may not let us set up more than one trust, but they'll know what you're trying to do, and you'll have a subsequent appointment shortly thereafter. And I think at that point everything will be resolved. They're not going to stop you. In my opinion, they're not going to stop you from opening multiple trust accounts because if there's money in those trust accounts, they want to get their share of it.
I couldn't do a pass-through because, Carol, I've already put the money or done the minutes and everything, and so each trust has its own dinar already, whatever currencies, already assigned to each trust. I mean, it's not, they've already purchased theirs, is what I'm saying.
But that's not in stone, and it's a private document. Why can't you just change that? You changed your mind suddenly. You're the trustee, you changed your mind. You can do that. You can set up, just move everything to one trust, and then when you have the subsequent trust that you want to open up, we've been talking about that, some things we're going to probably talk about later in the call. But, you have these units of beneficial interest. And if you was to take the pass-through account and you want to fund another account, you may want to take 10 beneficial interest units from that secondary trust to put in the primary trust so you have valid reason to move it. I mean, I'm just...
Yeah, well, see, this is what I did, Jim, when I purchased my trust, got it all set up, and I got an EIN number for one of my daughters. I have 2. She's handling her own. But I have another daughter that I set up a trust already Jim did her trust, Jim Jenkins, and so she purchased, and we set it up. I mean, it's already been assigned to that.
No.
So why would I want to put it all into one trust and go to
your
to do a
question was,
pass-through?
How do you do? Your question to me was, how do I do that? Well, remember, this is a private document, and you can change your mind how you want to structure anything up to the point that you want to go cash it all in. It's up to you how you want to do.
Yeah, my question was, can I? Not how. Can I? Because my daughter has a trust, and I'm a trustee on it.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Hold on. We don't know what we don't know. In other words, we don't know what's going to happen at that meeting. I really can't answer that question.
Okay.
I'm just
all right.
saying yeah, I'm just saying that if you got trust and they got money in them, they're going to work with you. They want to get their percent of that money.
Okay.
I agree.
But the procedure is unknown to anybody as of this moment.
Right. I said that to Carol, and you had stepped away or something. That I'm sure your answer is, we don't know, but I wanted to, because I'm a trustee on there. Although my daughter is the number one trustee, that I could take advantage and say, instead of having her to call the 800 number. I thought by me calling it and say, I'm on another trust, can I bring my daughter and I on another trust? Can I bring two trusts in? So, you're not sure what's going to happen, and I thought that would be your answer, okay?
Right, but that's true. We don't know. But the logistics are this. You can do anything you want. It's private documents. You can modify them any way you want. So whatever you feel comfortable with. And if you can only get one appointment, then you need to sit down and say, well, okay, we need to restructure everything.
Okay. Okay. All right. That sounds good. Then I just and then I've asked you this question also before on the pass-through account. I just sit there and tell them that I want all of this structured, and I want to pass through on some of my money. Is that what I say to them?
Yes. Again, we don't know exactly the verbiage we're going to use till we get there, but the gist of this is I have a pass-through account. I want to put this money in the pass-through account. I want to pass it on to my subsequent trust. And, I want to be a non-taxable event. Probably should be anyway. And they'll structure that in the proper way to make that happen. Again, we don't know how this procedure is going to work till we get there. That's why, as Carol said many times, she's going to be in there quick. She's going to let me know as much as she can, and from there we'll devise our information. We'll have emergency conference calls, and we'll discuss this, and we'll be able to get to everybody all the information as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet.
Okay, we've got one more. Let's go to Dean. Hi, Dean. Are you there, Dean? There you are.
Yeah. Hello?
Hi.
Carol, is there any concern about how much currency we have with our attorney or CPA?
I'm sorry?
Is there any problem with telling our personal attorney or accountant, CPA, the amount of dinar or dong or currency that we have? Is that a problem?
From what we've all heard, we are going to have to sign an NDA. From what I understand, the terms of the NDA is you can't tell people the details of your exchange. When you meet with your CPA, he's obviously going to want to know how much money do you have, and you're going to be able to tell him, where did you get this money? I'm sorry, under an NDA, I cannot tell you that right now. but I can give you clear certificates that these are clean funds. And to my knowledge, which on these NDAs is obviously very, very limited, but to my knowledge, that's the way it should work. We have to be able to be upfront and honest with our wealth management teams.
Okay,
So that's,
thank you.
Okay?
Also, when we're moving money from one trust to another, we can do that by just minutes in our trust, or do we have to have some kind of paper trail?
Well, Jim is actually going to talk about that later, about moving money with certificates and stuff like that. So just hang on for the rest of the call, and you might get your answers.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dean. Well, if there are no other questions right now, and there don't appear to be, and nobody's complaining that they can't hear us, Judy, I think continue. Okay, we're on number 5, Jude.
Okay. So, Carol, tell all of us, how is the contract trust created?
The contract trust is formed by the writing of the trust indenture. The indenture specifies all the main parameters of the contract trust. In that document, the trustees are named, the powers of the trustees are specified, the trust certificates are issued, and generally all items are addressed that are reasonably necessary to start a business. Upon the completion of the writing of the trust indenture, it is signed by the creator and investor exchangers in front of a notary, and the contract trust becomes a legal operating entity. And just as a little side note here, folks, do not sign it before you see the notary. A notary cannot notarize a signature that was not completed before him or her. So wait till you get to the notary. There are 2 parties that participate in the formation of the contract trust, those being the creator and the investor exchanger. Upon creation of the contract trust, the creator exchanges the assets, in this case the currency, of the investor exchanger and issues the trust certificates. The trust certificates have no value, and since the assets are transferred to the contract trust by an exchange, there is no tax consequence. The creator then appoints the first trustee. He or she has a fiduciary responsibility to appoint the person most likely to operate the trust in a proper manner and to see the best use and management of the assets. He or she can appoint anybody of his or her own choosing. We feel that when the creator considers who put the assets together and who's decided to put those assets into trust, the creator will realize that the original investor exchanger is the most likely candidate to continue to responsibly manage the trust as first trustee. After these tasks are complete, the creator has no further duties or rights to the contract trust. This part is all complete when we send you your personalized contract trust. I've been asked a question about the investor exchanger and the trustee being the same person and the possibility of the problems caused by that relationship. There are numerous court decisions on the issue of the investor exchanger, who is also the certificate holder, being the same person. The following is a Supreme Court decision that addresses the issue directly. Quote, the legal title, possession and control of property may, by declaration of trust, be passed irrevocably from the grantor or investor to himself as trustee, with the same effect as if the trustee receiving the conveyance had been another person, end quote. And it was, Becker, Collector of Internal Revenue versus St. Louis Union Trust Company. And my date must be wrong because I'm 1903. There's got to be a year in there. I just don't know what it is. Some have expressed concern that the common law contract trusts are irrevocable. Under normal circumstances, they may cause problems. But common law contract trusts, are also called unincorporated business organizations. Contract trusts may be dissolved or terminated similar to a corporation, and the assets distributed accordingly.
Well, that's a lot of great information, Carol. Thank you. My goodness. So essentially, that means the contract trust now owns those assets, and I get certificates in exchange. So how exactly does that work?
Well, it's actually a pretty good deal. First of all, the trust certificates have no value, and therefore there is no inheritance tax at the time of the death of the certificate holder. The certificate grants the holder his or her share pro rata share of distribution should the trustee, you, decide to make one. The trust indenture that we use has another built-in safeguard to further protect against federal estate tax. The indenture contains a specific provision embodied in the text that renders the trust certificates null and void at the certificate holder's death. Another important aspect of the contract trust is the lack of liability created for the trustees. Corporations, partnerships, and sole proprietorships are all governed by statute. The officers, general partners, managing partners, and individuals can all be held liable for their acts, and often those of their employees and agents under certain circumstances. Another protection for the trustee acting on behalf of the trust is the statement of non-liability of the trust embodied within the contract trust itself. The trustees, officers, and agents are mere employees and not personally liable when dealing with the trust organization's property or business matters.
Okay. So somebody mentioned this earlier, Carol. Who are the beneficiaries? And I know you said there aren't any, but...
Yeah, exactly. There are no beneficiaries. The contract trust is created in contemplation of life, not death. So when you and your spouse pass away, the contract trust does not die with you, as would a living trust. Instead of beneficiaries, we have successor trustees, persons named by you to take over the management of the contract trust when you die. You have the right to name your children as successor trustees, or anybody else you feel responsible for that matter. You can add a bloodline clause to ensure that your family's generational wealth does not fall into others' hands. You can also add a spendthrift clause, so no one can hypothecate or pledge his or her possible share of trust income. You can designate one or more successor trustees, specifying that they both become trustees at the same time or one goes before the other. You can change this designation at any time for any reason. Well, let's see, we've already had some Q&A, but it looks like we have a few more hands up here, so let's take a little break, Judy.
Okay.
Carol, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that court case you mentioned, it was 1935.
Oh, I should go back and fix that right now. Thank you, because I've got 193. Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Jim?
No, I just Googled that for you real quick.
Okay, thank you. All right. Audrey, you have a question?
Hi, Carol. This is Audrey. I was wondering, when I have a mother-in-law trust, when you want to create other trusts under that, like for real estate or business, where if you want to purchase a franchise, or if you have vehicles, a trust just for vehicles, when's the best time to do that? Is that before you go into to this appointment, or after, during that 30 days? When should these trusts be developed?
After, when you actually have money in the mother-in-law trust, not just the asset. Jim, do you want to expound?
And you'll be able to do that for me?
Well, Jim, you want to answer that, or you want to talk about it later?
Well, yes, we'll do that for you. We'll be around for a while. And, let's talk about it just for a second. So when you have your primary mother-in-law trust, well, let's back up 2 steps. Years ago, the way I did it, and I don't do it this way now because the state of Nevada changed their rules and their laws, but whenever I had a trust, I had a corporation in Nevada that always had some beneficial interests in that trust. And I would tender 10% or 20% of my beneficial interest in my trust to the corporation, and I'd borrow money from that corporation and get it set up. So then the corporation had a fiduciary responsibility to protect its investment. So it would put a lien on that trust. So should anybody ever try and sue and get anything out of the trust, they had to settle that first lien. And that, of course, was my corporation had the lien. So today what we're going to have to do is, when you have your mother-in-law trust, the closest and best way to duplicate what I was doing, which worked real well, by the way, was to take some of the beneficial interests from each one of the subsequent trusts that you create. Let's say it's using a car trust. So it's going to invest money into that trust. Well, what's it going to get in return for that investment? some of the beneficial interest certificates. So you have 100 beneficial interest units. You could tender 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever you want to the Motherlode Trust. Now, it has a reason to invest. It has security in its investment, so it can fund that trust. Of course, you as a trustee get the benefit of whatever's in that trust, meaning you get to drive the car. So that's the sequence of events I feel very comfortable with that would secure and follow all the lines of law saying, why did you give that money to this person? Is that a donation? No, it's an investment. And we took a certificate of beneficial interest as collateral. So we have the reason and the right. So then, if somebody is to sue, you have an action of the car to sue you, it exceeds your insurance policy, and they come after anybody or anything, and they want to take things, well, first thing you have to do is justify and satisfy the first lien holder, which is the Motherlode Trust. That make sense?
Okay. No. Yeah.
Well, I think it's something we're going to be talking more about, Audrey, and knowing Jim, I'm sure he's going to write something up about it so we can all read about it on the website. Right, Jim?
Yeah,
I'll be so glad.
I'll this week.
I have another question. The bloodline clause. Is there something that you can do that you will do to change my trust, my current trust, to add that bloodline clause, or is it?
That is on the website. It's real easy just to write that minute.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks, Ed. Anyone else? No, I don't see any other questions right now. So, Judy, let's continue.
Okay. So, Carol, I'm sure this is a question that you get constantly, as I have been asked as well. How do I get money out of the contract trust when I need it?
Well, the trustees are given broad powers to make distributions in several ways. The first way, the easiest way, is to pay yourself a modest salary as trustee. This should be enough to cover your everyday needs like groceries, utilities, gasoline, medical bills, etc. And I strongly suggest that you do that. I mean, my husband and I are going to do that. The second way is to declare and pay a distribution to the trust certificate holders of the contract trust. In either case, this money, whether it's a paycheck or a distribution, this money is taxable income to you. You probably want to take some money out this way and pay a minimal amount of tax, especially, as I say, for a salary. The trustees can be reimbursed for legitimate business expenses incurred by the trustees. So, what about vacations and golf and tennis club memberships? As a trustee, you're charged with managing and growing your trust. That means you probably want to investigate business opportunities, maybe in the Caribbean or in Europe, right? And some business relationships, does it not? Most of those expenses are tax deductible to the contract trust. You could also borrow from the trust. A big question for many is, how do I pay off my house, or how do I purchase new property? There are a couple ways to do this. You could borrow the money from the trust, essentially a new mortgage or refi that you control. In this scenario, you still end up owning the property in your own name, and that is not a good idea if you're trying to keep a low profile. A better option is to obtain a mortgage from the trust secured with a promissory note and a certificate, probably, the way it's structured, and put the house into a real estate trust. This would be optimal for larger expenses and not a taxable event. You could use the same method to purchase new vehicles, etc. And again, Jim is going to really expound on how to do this with using the certificates as collateral, etc. Creating secondary contract trusts is another way to purchase big-ticket items without creating a loan or taxable event. The trustees can choose to create and fund additional trusts at any time for any lawful purpose. Again, this is not a taxable event, and it is an ideal way to purchase property. The trustees can also lend money to others or themselves with their security, like a promissory note. Amounts, payments, interest rates can be anything reasonable, including jumbo loans and 10 or 20-year balloon notes. Regardless of which method or combination of methods you choose, be sure to write minutes to support your actions. You must be diligent in keeping the contract trust legal and in compliance with federal, state, county, and city codes. The above methods for paying for services, reimbursing expenses, and making distributions and loans all fall within the guidelines of the Internal Revenue Service codes, if we're still going to have one of those. But we'll have something, I'm sure. Judy?
So I'm just thinking about what you just said. So I think we've all heard that our exchanges will not be taxed at the federal level. If it's not taxed and I put all the money in the trust, I will be taxed when I take it out, right? Or how do I get money out front without paying taxes on it?
Well, again, I'm not a CPA or tax professional. This is just my opinion on how we may be able to take advantage of this one-time tax break. Yes? Oh, I thought I heard something. I think most of us have issues that we need to address post-RV. Whether it be outstanding debts, a new car, helping out friends, we don't want to pay taxes if we don't have to. So that's the exchange. How about this scenario? Mr. Banker, I now have X million dollars. I would like you to put $100,000 into my personal account that I would like to set up here at your bank. I would also like to take $7,500 cash with me when I leave today, as well as a funded debit card attached to that personal account. I will need these wires to be sent, and here is a list of cashier's checks that I need. I will need a pass-through account for X amount of dollars. I would like to put the balance into an account at your bank for ABC Trust to begin a long-term, mutually beneficial relationship. Here is my paperwork. And abstract and EIN should be all that you need. And this is obviously pretty simplified, but you get the idea. And as Jim has said before, we don't know what we don't know. None of us know exactly how this is going to come down. Just from a realistic point of view, this is the way I picture it possibly happening. But that's to me, that's how you're going to get money up front.
Okay. So, in your opinion, and I know it's only your opinion, do you think the RV will be considered taxable?
Well, from everything that we've been hearing, oh my goodness, I am getting a comment here about not being able to hear me. I guess I'm speaking too loudly. I'll just turn this down a little bit. From everything that we're hearing, we think there will not be any federal taxes imposed on revalued currency, or somehow it will be taken care of by the exchange institution. However, if this is not the case, we need to set up a secondary trust account to pay the taxes. If it is taxed, you're covered. If not, you have a sizable bonus. We have heard of a 2% treasury fee, but that will more than likely come off the top and not even be visible to us. There may also be a bank fee. An amount even as small as 0.5% can still be sizable if you're exchanging ZIM. From what I've heard, you can ask for that fee to be waived, and we do have a sample waiver form on the website. I have heard that because ZIM may be classified as a bond, it may be taxable. If you live in a state that imposes state income tax, we recommend you domicile your contract trust in a state that does not. We suggest Wyoming or Washington, and we have some contact information for you if you need it.
Okay, great. So, Carol, if there are taxes levied, sorry, I'm getting a little distraction here. If there are taxes levied, will future cash disbursements to trustees be tax-free?
Disbursements other than reimbursements to the trustees are always taxable to the trustee. The amount paid to the trustee is a deduction to the trust, though, so it's not the double taxation as if it would be in a corporation.
Okay. So we've also heard that we should have a separate account for the dinar apart from other currencies. Does that mean another trust or another bank account?
The important word here is account. One contract trust can own several bank accounts, so the answer would be no. However, you can have additional trusts if you feel you want to set it up that way. I know several people do have additional trusts, myself included. So even though, again, we don't know what we don't know, if we're going to exchange everything together, even that day it all has to go into one trust. Say the next day or following days when we go in for additional appointments, then you can diversify. You can put all the money you made from your dinar into one account, all the money you made from the ZIM on one account, all the money you made from the dong on another account. You can do that however you need to do it.
Okay. Great.
And the trust can have as many bank accounts and as many banks and locations as you feel appropriate. And personally, my husband and I will have our mother trust accounts at several different banks. So that's not a big deal.
Okay. So you're simply diversifying the total amount of the money into several different bank accounts?
Yes.
Okay, great. Carol, will you and Jim be available to answer questions or prepare additional trusts once this revaluation occurs?
Like many of you, Jim and I plan to retire after the RV. We will stay in business for about 6 months post-RV. We do have staff that will continue to produce trusts as necessary, and our website will archive all of these calls as well as questions and answers as they arise.
Okay. Do I have to contact you to write minutes or update my trust?
Several years ago, when my husband Jay and I started in the trust business, Jay said, we can't just give people the keys to this F-16 jet without giving them an owner's manual. So we created one. We created several booklets about the trust, including how to operate. Your trust package includes membership to our website, indicatorinformation.com, which has all those booklets, including sample minutes for your use, as well as a host of legal backup, including Amder's second on business trusts, which this technically is. The website is members only, for your authorized use only. Please email me for an invite code to join if you are a trust client and you don't already have, if you haven't already joined the website. We give you very specific directions on operating your trust, as well as instructions on writing minutes that document your actions. This, of course, saves you time and money. Should you decide you need us to make changes to your trust, we charge $50 per minute page. So if you want just to say, I want to change my successor trustee, it's going to cost you $50. Just so you know. It's not per minute of work, it's per minute page. How long? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Judy.
How long does it take to set up a contract trust, and how much does it cost, Carol?
Typical turnaround time has been less than a week until recently. With the anticipation of the RV happening soon, we have been very busy. Jim is currently hiring and training new trust preparers. The pre-RV cost is $14.95 for the first trust. Additional costs are $11.95, and those prices will go up post-RV. This is a one-time charge. Since it is not registered with the state, there are no annual fees to the state like there are with corporations and LLCs. We also offer a $300 referral fee for new clients.
Okay, thanks, Carol. That's all great information as usual. So let me ask you one little question. Do you offer any other estate planning services?
Well, we have the triple play, which includes a power of will, a power of attorney, and healthcare directive. The triple play is $275 for a single and $350 for a couple. And while we don't sell insurance, you might consider talking with your agent about beefing up your policies, adding umbrella insurance, annuities, nursing home insurance, Medicare supplemental, and end-of-life policies. There's a whole, as I said before, estate planning isn't just about the money. It's about everything. We can only go so far in what we can do. That's why we've added the triple play, because having the power of will and the power of attorney, if nothing else, it really makes you feel good that you've got it taken care of. I mean, I've got it sitting here on my shelf. My granddaughter knows exactly where it is to come and find it if anything ever happens to Jay and myself. She feels good about it. We feel good about it. So it's a good thing to have. But there are many, many things to consider with estate planning. But now that we've gotten through the business part of this presentation, I'd like to turn it over to my partner, Jim Knox. What's on your mind today, Jim?
Well, we want to talk about what you just talked about. As many of you know that are clients, that one of our associates and my good friend John passed in February. And he and I had updated our process like we always do in December, January, and he failed to get everything notarized and signed. So his estate is in disarray still, to a degree. And then after that, a friend of mine, Joe Junkyard Kohler, man, he used to own a whole bunch of junkyards, that was his nickname. He came out here to get away from Wisconsin because the weather was just terrible for him. 72, had some health issues. He came out here in May, got here about May 16th. 4 days later, he had a heart attack and a few other issues, and ended up in the hospital in Salem, Oregon. Well, we started getting all his paperwork set up and got everything ready, and because he was having some major issues. He got out of the hospital after a week. Found something in the hospital they didn't like, so we went back to Wisconsin to see his regular physician. He got there last week of June. They did tests, and he had inoperable lung cancer. And then on the 2nd of July, he got the real bad news that there's nothing they could do. Even cancer and chemotherapy would not help. And he had already made plans to meet with his family on July 4th, and I had done all the paperwork, got it all ready for him, and he was going to have the meeting with them, and then they had a friend who would be there, was a notary, notarize everything. On the evening of the 3rd, he called me, was feeling really, really bad, and we talked, and I could tell that he wasn't going to be with us much longer. He was giving up. I got a call the morning of the 4th. He passed.
I'm so sad, Jim. So sad.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't make the meeting, so the family does not have all of his estate in order, and we're trying to put it back together right now from old documents. And his family does not have their trust done because he was on the trust, so they stopped. So I'm redoing all the trusts now to send them back out. And this just goes to show you that you never know when you're going to need the paperwork. So when John passed, within 3 or 4 days, well, 5 days actually, I had all my paperwork redone, and everybody was reassigned positions in my estate. When Joe passed on the 4th, since he was in my estate, on the 5th, I met with all of John's family, get their stuff redone and current, and I did mine at the same time. So within a day of Joe's passing, I had my estate redone and then removed from all of my trusts. And you just have to stay on top of this, folks. You just have to have everything ready.
You have to. You have to.
You know, he just could be going down the road and some drunk run into you and take you out like another friend of mine about 2 years ago. Fortunately, his estate was intact. I had just done all his trusts, so the family, very small. You just never know. So that being said, those of you that got the email know that you just have to be prepared, friends. You just have to stay on top of this. You just never know. So anyway, let's go talk about how to do this stuff. I just want to talk about this for a couple of minutes. When you have a mother-in-law account or any trust that you want to fund a secondary trust, we said this a little while ago, you can use the beneficial interest in the trust for security. You know, when you go to get a bank loan to buy a car, they keep the title as security. Well, think of it from that point of view. So if one of your trusts is going to fund another trust for a car that you're going to pay cash for, the mother-in-law trust has to have some security. So you've got 100 beneficial interest certificates, or units rather, in your trust. Issue some of those. You have, when we send you the trust, we send you 4 certificates. 2 that are used to set up the trust, and 2 can be reused, or 2 that can be used for a second application of moving the beneficial interest. So say that you got the 250 units, you take one of them back to the trust, you surrender it back to the trust, and it can reissue 10 of those 50 to the mother-in-law trust and 40 back to you as a secondary certificate. Doesn't matter what the numbers are, whatever numbers you want to use. But it acts as security for the mother-in-law trust to put the money into the secondary trust. Not only that, if somebody acts as secondary trust, they got to pay off the first lien, the first deed, which is the mother-in-law trust. Now, I had gotten sued a few years ago. It was really a stupid situation, and it never went forward. But when they looked at my estate, they realized there was nothing in my name. When they went to go after the property that was in the estate that they wanted to take, steal, if you will, they realized that there was a lien against that in this corporation in Nevada, and they'd have to pay that first lien off to be able to take the property they were going after. At that point, the attorney told the guy that was trying to sue me that I can no longer take this on contingency. I need $25,000 up front to continue this suit because I don't think we'll win. The suit went away because it was not taken on contingency. So when they realized that there was a first deed of trust they had to satisfy, there was nothing of value left over. So it's a strategy play. So when you do this, and I'll write all this stuff up, put it on the website. I'll do it in the next 2 or 3 days. And I'll probably put it in the blog, as a matter of fact. And then in the blog there will be a link, because the blog is open to the public. But I'll put a synopsis of the situation in the blog, and then I'll put a link into the website that only members can see, and that's where all the documentation will be at. And we'll get that done. And then we're updating a few things. We have a new, we have a young man, I shouldn't say he's younger than me anyway, is now helping me do trusts, and he's very, very good. So we have some help now, so we should be able to pump these trusts out a little quicker. And I've got 3 other people that I've interviewed that I'm going to go see tomorrow and get them started.
Excellent.
So we're bringing on some staff now. We have no choice.
No, we don't.
So, Jim,
do you want me to go further with this, Carol? Just go ahead.
I'm sorry. For the sake of everybody that I'm imagining are asking themselves the same question, where do we get extra blank certificate pages?
Any stationery store?
Yep. And
Okay.
you've got the actual template is on the website. I'm not exactly sure where, but I know I put it there, that you can just you have to set it in portrait mode and on your printer, and you put your certificate in your printer, and you can print out the basic template. Now, you can also download that into your computer, and then you can modify it to make it complete. Your certificate in your printer, put it to portrait mode or landscape mode. That portrait
Okay,
landscape.
that's a great idea.
And then
That's a good
print it out.
idea. Okay, great idea.
One of the things that we've been doing, thank you, Judy, for bringing that up, is not only are we giving you blank pages, 4 or 5 blank pages, Jim, but we're also telling you where you can get more of the trust paper that we use. And Amazon carries it. It's relatively inexpensive. Like the certificates, though, they don't have to look exactly like what we have, but almost any stationery store, office supply store, or Amazon, they all carry some type of certificate paper.
Okay,
Well,
great.
I will
Thank
put
you.
I'll put the certificate paper link on there also. I don't think I have it on there, but I will do that because I just bought more from Amazon. We buy most of our paper stuff through Amazon.
Yeah. Good plan. So, Jim, if you have more to add, like you wanted to, I think, as long as people aren't ready to hang up, go for it.
Well, there's not a whole lot more we can add to that. I mean, be prepared. Be a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout. Be prepared. Keep your paperwork current, which I'm on top of now. After 2 tragic incidents this year, I'm right on top of my paperwork now. And everybody needs to do that. I was not that vigilant until now, and it's driving the point home. I need to be vigilant. Everybody needs to be vigilant. But what I will do is I will write all this stuff up. There's no sense beating it up here. Let's write this stuff up so they can download it about how to use the certificates of beneficial interest as collateral. And I'll have a couple.
Okay, and I think, and I don't know if we have them on the website, but we could put a couple promissory notes up there also.
Yes, we will. Oh, yeah, we have lots of promissory notes. I think we have 7 or 8 of them, different styles, for cars, trucks, trains.
Good, okay.
We have over 300 minutes, sample minutes. Now, when you look at these minutes, they're either Microsoft Word or text, and you can either actually capture them off the website itself and put them into a text file. That takes care of all the formatting, gets it out of there. And then you just put it into your computer, and then you format it according to how you want to look for your trust, and you've got some blank paper there. The last minute shows you how the top has to be done. Of course, the bottom is, you'll see that from all the rest of the minutes, how you have to sign as a trustee. And you just, get creative and write your minutes and print it out. And then you take and add it to the book. I have a way I do things is I have 3 little booklets, and they're on my desk at all times, green one, black one, and a blue one. And in those books, I make notes about the green one's for one of my trusts, the black one's for another trust, and the blue one's for another trust, and then I actually have a red one for just me. And I make notes, and I call that my secretary's book, because I'm the secretary of the trust, besides being the trustee, because I make all these notes. Every 30 or 45 days, I go through there, and I write the minute. I make a minute from whatever I did, whatever I wrote in there that has to be added to the trust. I write a minute, and I put it in the trust. I probably got 20 minutes in my primary trust in the last year, changing things around, successors passed and so on and so forth. And then as long as you've got it in writing, especially in a notebook, if you don't get it consummated by the time that you needed it consummated or put in your trust, in a court of law, they'll accept a handwritten notebook, and they will agree that that should have been added, and they will go ahead and put it postpartum in your trust, allow it to be. If it's typed in your computer, they never know when you typed it. So, but if you have it handwritten in a little book, like I do, it'll stand up in a court of law. Keep that in mind.
Good to know.
Yeah, I have anything else to talk about.
Well, that's okay, because we've got a couple questions here. Let's go. Hang on a second. Hi, Valda. How are you doing this morning or this afternoon?
Hello, Carol. How are you, Jim? Thank you so much for coming on with this very informative session. My question is veering a little bit off from what you're talking. It's regarding silver certificates. I believe that's what you call them, Jim.
Yes.
That you had mentioned that we could purchase instead of currency for our trust. And right now, at this point, I'm using currency. So, and I'm trying to find out where best to get those silver certificates. And if you can give me some guidance, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, so a silver certificate is a United States note. And actually, some of them say Federal Reserve note. It was issued that you could take to the bank, and if it's a $20 silver certificate, they'd have to give you $20 worth of gold when you took it to the bank. That's what those are. That's the original currency. Silver and gold's original currency. So these were evidence that you had $20 worth of silver in the lending institution or the bank. Hold on. Excuse me. So you have to buy these. They're now considered numismatic. In other words, you have to go to a coin store and you buy them. But I can buy a $20 silver certificate for about $10, not face value. Excuse me, because they are not used anymore. So you cannot go to the bank and get $20 for them anymore. Carol, take over for a second.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so what he said, they're not circulated at all anymore. As Jim said, you cannot take them to the bank to get money for them. You can only buy them from a coin dealer or somebody that sells coins for collection, that kind of thing. Yeah, but it's a nice thing to have for a trust. A trust initially is $21.
Yeah.
The exchange is $21. If we use 21 silver certificates, it's just it's not required, but it's nice. Put it that way. It's nice, but it's a good thing. Anything else, Walda?
No, it's just that. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that I've tried to locate a coin store that sells them, and I haven't been able to find one. Maybe I'm not searching correctly.
Well, go to a store that sells gold and silver. I mean, there are stores everywhere that'll sell you gold and silver. They usually have those on show. They do sell them. We've got 4 stores in Oregon that sell them. So I buy them every chance I get.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
You're welcome. Are you with us now, Jim?
Yeah, sorry about that. I have throat issues after surgery. Okay, so
we have one more question.
Go ahead.
We have one more question. It's Sandy. Hi, Sandy.
Carol, it's Sandy again. When we were talking about, I understood what Jim was saying, that it doesn't matter what's in my trust, no one knows, so I can take my original trust and do the pass-through on the rest of them. But what my plan had originally been is to set those individually trusts up and give them their dinar and whatever, and each one of the grandkids get $20,000 out at that time, which would not make it taxable, supposedly.
I don't know about that.
You don't?
Yeah.
Well, if I take cash on mine, is that going to be taxable if I put it in my own personal account?
Well, let's go back to my scenario and say I want X amount of dollars into my account. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know. But I know if you take it from a trust or take it from yourself and give it to the grandkids, that's going to be taxable. So I'd keep it under $15,000.
Well, I know, and my original plan was, assuming that this is not going to be a taxable event, that on the trusts that you set up for them, that they could take out, at the time that they go to, not take out of, I'm saying the wrong thing, not take out of, but sit there with the banker, which I'm a trustee on there also with them, but to ask for part of that, you want to be put into your own personal account, where that wouldn't be taxable to them if it's not a taxable event. Part of it to go into their personal account, and the rest of it to go into the trust account. Is that not am I thinking the wrong way?
No, I mean, you're thinking the right way. I think I misunderstood you. You're thinking the right way, but as I say, because that's what I've laid out. Excuse me, now it's my turn to joke here. But the thing is, we don't know. We don't know how they're going to handle this.
Right.
If you go in to begin with saying the trust owns all this currency, then they're going to want to put all the money into the trust.
Right, and that's right. And that's what I'm saying. I said it wrong to you. The trust is not going to own all of it. They're going to go on in there with their own individual, say a $10,000 dinar note. That's
right, Carol.
Personal note.
That's exactly right. They have to exchange it themselves, the individual. Then it keeps it a non-taxable event.
If they let us do that.
Yeah,
right.
If they let us do that, correct. I understand we don't know, but I'm asking, is my thinking correctly? They go in there and say, this dinars, these $100 trillion notes that are going into my trust. This one here, I want into my personal checking account.
That sounds logical to me.
Okay, let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, if you go in there and it's your personal money, and you want to take a $10,000 dinar note, and it's your dinar, you can go in and ask to have that converted to USD, exchange it to US dollars, and then that's not taxable. But if you have it in an entity and the entity gives it to somebody, that could be taxable. If you give the $10,000 to somebody, that probably won't be taxable. But if you give them $20,000, now you've got to deal with the IRS. That will be taxable.
Yes.
Sure. Yes. Yes, I understand that. But what I was trying to get at earlier, and I said the whole thing wrong, I should have explained a little bit more thoroughly, that going in there, and I have these 3 trust accounts that y'all have set up. My daughter is one, and I'm a trustee on with her. I'm one, and I have another person with me on that, and I have my grandchildren, and I'm on that. Going in there and say the grandchildren are saying they have in their hand, this is their dinar note that they want to cash out, and I want to put this into my account. And then we say these are going to go into the trust account. So if it's non-taxable, I was thinking the correct way.
Yes.
But if I put everything into my mother load and me do a pass-through to the other trust, they can't get anything but the $15,000 as a gift that's been given to them to keep it from being taxable. Is that correct? If I do a pass-through to the other account,
I would say that you're correct that it would be taxable if you give them anything out of there. However, the trust can buy them things.
Yeah.
Use them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, they have a few little bills that need to be taken care of. and I'm not. They're very personable, private bills. So I don't think I can't see any way that the trust could pay for it.
No, I would give them the note and have them go in and cash it personally, and then take care of that debt.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm so sorry to be.
No, it was a lesson. It was a lesson because we got to explain it to multiple people, so that was perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you. Hey, Jim, we've got another call here. Yes, Dean. Dean?
When the quantum financial system goes through, and it might, are you going to change your accounts to interest-bearing?
I don't know. Jim, the whole interest-bearing thing is it's a conundrum for me. Because if you make it interest-bearing, then the bank can play with your money. But as you said, if it's QFS, they shouldn't have the ability to do that. That's a question that I'm not prepared to answer. Are you, Jim?
No, because we just don't know what's going to do. We'd have to look at all the fine print, make sure that the QFS is got it set up to where they can't take your money, because if they take your money on an interest-bearing account, they have the right to lose it. You have no recourse.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Is that it, Dean?
That's it. Yeah, I just wondered. We'll assume this till we know something better.
Okay. Well, you're breaking up badly, so I'm gonna. If you don't have any other questions, we're gonna leave it at that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So, Jim, I think that is about it. You have anything you'd like to close with?
Nope. Let's just go ahead and get out of this. It's noisy, and hopefully we'll have a better call next time. As far as the call was great today. It's just the system isn't working well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You want to give your contact information, Jim?
Yeah, there was somebody saying something in the background. Somebody else got a question real quick?
Judy?
I was saying as usual, some very great questions today.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, they were.
Okay, so my name is Jim Knox. I'm in Salem, Oregon, and you can reach me at my email is security@indicatorinformation.com. My phone number is 503-583-6791. I work between 9 and 6, Monday through Friday. I try and take the weekends off. I need a break from this stuff. Although I take the weekends off, you guys, I usually work harder on the weekends on this project than the other. So, anyway, we'd appreciate your input back to us. If you like the call, so on and so forth, let us know. Email us. You got questions, email us. Most of the information that people call me on, we have already on the Internet. We really encourage everybody to spend a little time on that website, get familiar with it, because when the RV finally does happen, when this evasive little bug finally drops, you're going to have a lot of questions, and we're not going to be available because we'll be busy working on projects for you people. So, trust. So get familiar with that website. There's so much on there, and we're adding so much more each week. You'll be surprised. So that, what do you got, Carol?
Well, that's about it. I do appreciate it. I know that the website is a plethora of information. And as Jim said, we're both been really, really busy, so you probably should find the answers to whatever question you had on the website. But that is about it for today. Thank you, Judy and Jim, for your able assistance as always.
My pleasure.
And, my name is Carol Werelius. My phone number is 425-820-8090. My email is info@indicatorinformation.com. Thanks to all of you for your attention and participation today. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Enjoy your weekend. Maybe a blessed one for all of us. Go RV, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.